Hi Sharks, I'm Daniel.
Hi there.
And I'm Gareth, and we are ColivingDAO. Own where you rent on day one.
We are here today to offer you 0.5% of our company for 250,000 euros on a 10-year non-dilution guarantee.
So our story is we met and became friends living in London in Europe's largest co-living community. What is co-living? Co-living is a new way of living in which residents get a small room or an apartment and then access to shared facilities like social hangout spaces, co-working spaces, a gym, roof terrace, cinema room, etc. It's a lot of fun living in co-living, and you get to meet like-minded people and create bonds with them that last for a long time. Now let's talk about the downsides of co-living. We lived there for years, paying rent every month, and at the end of it, financially, we had nothing to show. We owned nothing. And then the residents became increasingly frustrated because the co-living landlord pursued their own agenda at the expense of the co-living community quite often. And these frustrations led us to think there must be a better way to do co-living, and so ColivingDAO was born. And we are own where you rent from day one and have a real voice to shape your community.
Effectively, what's happening in our society is that we are using the same asset, property, for a dual purpose, one being dwelling and the other one being a store of value. So what this is doing is driving prices of property very, very high, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to own the place where they live. What we realize as well is that co-living is addressing this. At the same time, co-living is mostly existing right now on a rental basis, so people don't own anything. It's a problem for co-living operators as well, because this causes a huge turnover, resident turnover, up to 50%, higher maintenance costs, higher sales costs, and so on. And it's a problem for residents for the reason we mentioned, and also because they don't really have a voice in shaping their communities. There are some co-livings that offer some form of ownership, but it has the same problem of a normal mortgage. Big loan, big deposit up front, and it's not flexible around relocation. So what we're building is a platform that is directed to co-living operators, that is the companies that run the co-living business. And the software platform effectively enables the formation of co-living communities where residents own shares in the place where they live. As they make every monthly payment, they earn more rental shares. This is great for co-living companies, co-living operators, because they reduce turnover, they reduce costs significantly. It's also great for residents because they own something. Now, it's very important that we don't use paper shares for this, because they will be too inflexible. But luckily, we have blockchain technology that helps us create shares that can easily be bought, be sold, and be issued.
The beauty of having a software platform is that this enables us to go from a single co-living community to multiple co-living communities around the world. There could be a co-living community in Malta, London, New York, etc. And the way this works is the co-living companies will take the software blueprint and run on the blueprint and become like a federation of co-living communities. Not only that, how do residents get a real voice? They have a share in the business, but there is also the DAO bit, which is the DAO in our name, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization. This is just simply a way of organizing the co-living community to enable residents to vote and coordinate their decisions easily. It's also using blockchain and Web3 technology. This is a decentralized community structure, and this requires a multi-stakeholder company to be compatible to ensure that residents have that legally protected voting right and voting power. Investors also gain, but investors, guess what, gain even more, because the communities are stronger, because all of the stakeholders have power and wealth sharing. And so the value of those communities increases in this structure. The other big benefit is that multi-stakeholder power enables a triple win across people, planet, and profit, something I very much care about in environmental sustainability.
So the co-living industry is growing right now at a very fast pace. We're talking about double-digit CAGR between 11 and 30%. And the TAM, the total addressable market, is about 16 billion nowadays. Obviously, we're talking about co-living on a rental basis, so when we add the entire property market, we're talking even trillions in this space. We estimate, according to our projections, that we'll reach unicorn status, 1 billion worth in less than 10 years, realistically about 7 to 10 years. And at year 10, we will be at 5 billion valuation. And this is part of a 1 million fundraise that we're doing. Now, half of it will go towards software development. The rest will go towards sales and marketing, legal and regulatory, and 10% towards overhead.
Thank you very much. We're ColivingDAO, and we'd welcome any further questions.
Good. The valuation of 50 million comes before you actually started any revenue or any proof of concept. Has any proof of concept happened, or have you found a project, a property you're interested to kick this off?
Yeah, so we have quite a lot of traction for the stage we're at. So we have several co-living operators that want to have a community operating like this. We have traction from Bulgaria, from different countries, with traction in the UK. Also, we've been invited as speakers in many co-living or more in general regeneration conferences and events. And we've actually surveyed co-living operators, and it turns out that 5 out of 7 agree that by having a structure where residents own shares, that will massively reduce turnover and increase community engagement.
But you're giving away ownership. As a landlord, I'm giving away ownership every month that people are paying rent. Am I right?
So there is part of it. So effectively,
I'm going to protect myself as a landlord by increasing the value of the asset from when people start.
Correct.
So I'm absolutely saying what is my maximum profit on the property, giving that a value, and making sure everyone coming in is participating to that. So it might make sense.
Exactly. So what we're doing effectively is we create a company. The company owns the property. Now, the valuation of the company will be higher than the valuation of the property itself because of all the added value that the entire structure is building. First of all, the fact that people can own shares, the fact that the shares are very liquid, so very easy to buy, sell, and transfer.
Liquid depends on the demand. So it's not going to be liquid day one. It's going to be liquid when everyone has moved in. The first cycle is going through, am I right?
True, but we're also building a liquidity pool. So we're using DeFi tools in order to ensure liquidity. So it is possible for people to buy and sell shares, even if there isn't a counterpart that wants to sell or buy their share, simply by depositing shares in the liquidity pool and taking euros, or putting euros in the liquidity pool and taking shares.
So you guys, your software platform will just be managing this whole operation, the co-living arrangement, right? You won't be involved in ownership of buildings, nothing. You're just providing the software for the co-living shareholders to, yeah. And what will you be charging for your software to these?
So what we charge is we have different revenue models. So first of all, we have different revenue streams. First of all, we charge on a SaaS model, a subscription model, which is per resident. So that will be one of the two main revenue streams. And the other revenue stream is a percentage of the entire transaction value. So when people buy shares or sell shares, there is a small percentage of that transaction value that goes towards us. These are the two main revenue streams. Of course, as you can imagine, there's more, because once we create communities that have a strong identity, there's a huge potential for sponsorships, partnerships.
And you said you're going to reach unicorn status in 10 years, so I'm assuming 1 billion of revenue. How much of that would be in profit, net income?
So the profit is quite high. We estimate about 70%, but the idea is that being a software company, the overheads are very low.
So 700 million of that will be profit. How many co-living spaces do you need to reach that level?
So on year 7, that is 63 million.
53 million.
So it's 63 million total revenue.
63 million from 400 units. What did you have? Say you have?
So
300 units.
So the way we multiply that, so we used, in order to calculate this particular valuation, we used an EV/EBITDA. What we used effectively is, we've done one more conservative case and one less conservative case. So we used a 20 multiple of the revenue.
I'm trying to reach to the monies that the joint owners of this co-living space will have to pay you. you know, are paying you, and to see if that makes sense. So Chris has a building, you're managing it for him, you're managing the ownership. How much money are you going to, on average, if you divide the...
So if you divide that, so on average, it would be approximately, we take an average, about 1,000 per year per resident.
1,000 per year per resident. And you have how many?
So on year 7, we have 124 average users per space, so 37,000 users.
So in those 124 residents will pay you 1,000.
Effectively, the co-living operator will pay 1,000. The residents will pay rent. So this will be taken from the rent. So if we say that the rent.
So the landlord is going to forfeit another 1,000 per user, per tenant, to pay you.
If you go to the slide before, you mentioned you need a 1 million investment in total. You are asking 250,000.
Yeah.
So how you are going to raise the other 750,000? That's my first question. My second question would be, how much of your own equity have you put in this business?
How much of our own money have we put in? We're both working full-time, so we do this part-time. So we've put considerable sweat equity in over the last year, and also the opportunity cost of working on the project versus working to earn more income in the careers that we both have. In order to raise more funds, there are multiple options out there. Because this is Web3 in the crypto space, we can effectively crowdfund large portions of the fundraise. And we have a network built up of interested people in our co-living community who have connections to other investors. We also have an advisory board that we've built up by attending the Co-Live Summit, which
but
is
this is so far. This is all hypothetical. So far, you will only be having 250,000 from one of these investors, if there will be. So far, so you still need to find another 750,000 euros.
Yes,
investments.
Correct. Yes. But you are the first people to have the opportunity because this is the first time we've actually pitched.
I'm trying to understand the model. So with 1,000 beds, I decided to put this on the market, on the co-living space, including the software. I'm going to have an agreement with you, and I'm going to say the value of my property, if I run it as I'm today, the value is 10. Yeah. With you guys coming on board, I expect it to be 12, but I'm going to be paid over a much longer period of time. But my upside is included in the valuation. So anyone coming into the
100%.
Every month, someone is paying for the upside of the landlord.
But if you can afford to pay €1,000 in rent, how are you going to afford to pay 1,500 so that you own it?
And
you go to the bank, you get a mortgage.
Pay 1,000 to them.
And pay 1,000 to them. So
that's a bit challenging.
But I think also in Malta it's a different approach altogether, because if you're doing something of this sort in Malta, the valuation of the property will increase substantially in a number of years. Whilst if you're doing this in other countries, perhaps it could be stable or even decrease.
And as the valuation of the property increases,
that's a value in itself.
The value of the entire co-living business increases as well.
First of all, thank you for your presentation, but at the stage of your development, I don't think that you're worth anywhere near next to the valuation. But I do not that's my opinion. It's very subjective, so I'll pass amount.
Okay, so I'm going to butt in. You mentioned the liquidity side, having the liquidity pool in place. In the beginning, that liquidity to be able to buy shares for anyone who would like to sell, your liquidity pool has to be of a substantial value. A lot of value. Yeah. So effectively your pool has to be as big as anyone who's paid rent so far, right?
We don't necessarily everyone
a default rate of 20%.
So there will be a percentage of people that are willing to sell.
20%?
It could be between 10 and 20%, but the whole point is that we know that the liquidity pool is not a way to say that everyone can sell and no one needs to buy. We know that we want to make sure there is demand, but because of the value proposition, there will be demand, because eventually, what will be the point for anyone to live in a co-living that doesn't give shares?
Okay, it's a beautiful presentation. You guys obviously are born to do this, and it looks good and it works. But for me, at this point, with that valuation, and while I'd love to be part of a unicorn, and hopefully I'd sleep better if I would. I don't know if I would. I'm going to have to say I'm out.
I think your element of no dilution guarantee for 10 years makes a lot of sense, and that adds value to what you're proposing. On the other hand, I might be missing it totally, but I'm really not tallying with the valuation. So it could be a next second, unicorn, but for this season, I'm out. I'm
So
not really.
can I ask you what percentage of return? Let's say, because we're offering a 20x, if 20x is unattractive, what multiplier would be attractive to you at
But
this
this is
stage?
hypothetical. This is an assumption. This is a future assumption that you are
If
making.
all works out well, you
If this
deliver
is for sure, I
20x.
would even buy that for even
odds are that-
0.1%.
If it doesn't
For the
work
same
well, then the valuation doesn't matter. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero regardless of the
Yes.
valuation.
Of course,
So
it doesn't matter to you, but to him as an investor,
Yeah,
it would matter.
what I'm saying is that if it goes to zero, whether you're investing on a 1 million valuation or 50 million valuation, it goes to zero anyway.
Yeah.
So what you're looking here
But
is
investing
at
10,000
the
and
upside
investing
versus
250,000, money doesn't grow on trees.
No, no.
But anyway, you tried to find an unserved space, and I admire you for that. It would definitely not work in Malta, definitely. I'm sure it will work in larger cities, countries. I'm out. Thank you.
I like the idea. I'm on the same thought like Christabel. I don't think it will work in Malta. For this reason, I'm out of it.
Wish you well, guys.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Looking
Good luck.
forward to see you on a big magazine,
Fronting the magazine.
and we'll kick ourselves in the butt. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for your time.